Should life insurance agents write business with Ethos? Well, you're in the right place because today I'm going to be doing a deep dive on what does Ethos do, their business model, their offer to life insurance agents and clients, and then I'm going to break down all the bad things that I and other agents experience writing business with them. And this is my unbiased feedback and review from me as an agent and others, hundreds of others, writing business with them so you have an understanding of what you may experience, and then my rating on their company for agents to build a business. It's going to be very valuable, and I encourage you to watch this full video before you submit any piece of business to them or you submit any more pieces of business to them. With that said, I want to dig deep into all of the bad that was experienced when working with Ethos, because I think that as an agent, you should get honest feedback from someone who's written a lot of business through Ethos so you can understand what you may or may not experience. Now, by the way, I'm writing this video, I'm making this video as of December 23rd, 2024. So any adjustments or changes that they may make from this point, that may not coincide with this video, but you're talking to someone that's been writing business with Ethos for over, for about a year, from a year back until now, and everything that was experienced from the top of January all the way through here and all of the agents that I brought onto the platform. Number one, their True Stage product broke down and it left my agents in debt. Now let's talk about how that even happened. So around the time that the True Stage product exists, which as of today, if you log into Ethos, it's native, meaning that when you go into Ethos and you write an application, you can go through the Ethos platform and write a True Stage app without leaving Ethos. Now, before that occurred, the True Stage product was third party. So what happened was that when you write let's say one of my agents wrote a term life insurance policy on Ethos and the client got declined, then Ethos would make a recommendation for True Stage, and we would have to send the link. We would have to send a referral link to the actual client so that the client can fill out the True Stage application themselves on their phone. So we can already see right there, that's a bad experience of the client. Now we tell the client that they're declined and we got to send them a link to have them fill out the application themselves. Because it was third party, we as agents could not write the application ourselves. I know there's not a single platform that does that, but at the time, the True Stage app did not allow us to write the apps ourselves. We had to get the clients to be able to do this. Now what happened was that when a client got approved for coverage, it asked the client, would you like to use debit or credit card or routing and account number? Now this is the first time that I've seen that a insurance carrier allowed debit or credit cards versus routing and account number. Now again, since the client is in control of this experience and they're writing the application, they go, hey, well, I'm at the page where it asks me for my debit or credit card or routing and account number. I'm just going to use my debit or credit card. Because it was there on the system and because we thought that the product actually worked with the debit or credit card, we said, perfect. Use your routing and debit or credit card. Client would enter the information. They hit submit. It says, congratulations, your True Stage product is intact. Now, we can all assume that if a debit or credit card is used, that they charge the client immediately, because every other business across this country that uses a debit or credit card charges you immediately. So we were getting paid, my agents were getting paid on True Stage commissions after the debit or credit card was submitted. And come to find out later on, we find a bunch of chargebacks inside of our portal. We talk to the representative and the representative says, hey, we didn't know, but we actually overpaid your agents because the debit or credit cards, they were being delayed on payment and like a lot of them didn't go through. In fact, 50% of the debit or credit cards didn't go through. Ethos found out about this later that they found out after my agents were paid, thinking that we earned commission from actually doing the work. When 50% of the debit or credit cards didn't go through, they don't know why. They claim that it's insufficient funds was the reason for this, but they didn't go through. And to make matters even worse, we found out about this, like I think maybe 60 to 90 days out later, which means that we weren't even able to go back to go save the actual policies because they were outside of the window. So now I have to stand and explain to all of my agents, hey, you guys are about to see 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 in chargebacks inside of your portal because the payments never went through on debit or credit card, although Ethos claimed that the product with the debit or credit card worked. My agents were left in debt. I actually lost money and I lost agents because of this experience that Ethos couldn't rectify. And they also did not take accountability for even helping to rectify this situation when it came to financials. My agents were left in debt. And we were left figuring out how to solve this, which is that's not acceptable. And as agents, we should be holding insurance carriers and companies to higher standards when it comes to how we're paid and transparency around debt, transparency around their product working. If you claim that a technology works, it should work. And if it doesn't, you should be held accountable for that. And that True Stage product broke down and it did not work and my agents were left in debt. And there were so many other agents across this country that used Ethos where they were left in debt as well because of this True Stage issue. And if you did not know that that happened, well, now you know. That's why you had a lot of debt, and you should definitely take a look into that because that's what occurred. And that brings me to number 2. No clear expectations around persistency. So around the time that my agents and a lot of people that I put onto Ethos got onto the platform, there were no persistency requirements. As of today, it is. They now place emphasis on persistency because there was a time where there wasn't any persistency expectations. There weren't any guidelines that people could easily access to talk about what standards that you needed to be around. There was a constant goalpost that was being moved around, hey, persistency is this, or hey, persistency is that, or hey, that person's persistency is low, and there wasn't clear expectations. If there's clear expectations, then great. Now, I have an entire argument around persistency itself around the life insurance industry because my belief, and by the way, I think that the goalpost that's set now, I think is like 85 to 90% on their persistency. And I think that in general, when it comes to persistency around the industry and with insurance carriers, I think that it causes agents to not want to help everyday people who need coverage because they're afraid of persistency and getting their contracts cut because their persistency drops low because an everyday person that needed insurance didn't pay their bill. I mean, think about this for a moment. You, as an agent, have you not paid bills before? I would bet that the answer is yes. You're helping the same people that are just like you. I'm from the inner city of Philadelphia. My mother is from the hood, a single mother of 3 that had to raise 3 children and do the best that she could. And the reality is that it would be challenging to be able to help my mother at the time because she didn't have the proper financials. So I couldn't get her life insurance coverage out of fear that my contract was going to be cut. That's wrong. It's wrong across the board for all life insurance companies who do these things and making sure that people are not covered. That is a capitalistic way to view life insurance, and that's not how we should be protecting clients in this industry. I am not a fan of it. I don't believe in it. And my client base are all everyday African Americans who work hard, take care of their families, and they want life insurance coverage. And many of them, yes, will skip payments. They're going to miss payments. But because of the lack of persistency of me wanting to help my own people, I do not believe that should impact agents' contracts being cut for wanting to help people with getting life insurances. And that's what we got licensed to be able to do. That brings me to number 3. If a policy gets flagged for underwriting, good luck. There have been many experiences for myself, other agents, many that I've put on where if for any reason your policy gets put into an underwriting, like it didn't pass that instant decision, we've had situations where Ethos said that their underwriting was going to take 5 to 7 days. It did not take 5 to 7 days. In fact, we've had instances where it's been 14, 21 days and we still haven't even gotten an answer for underwriting. The way that their underwriting process worked at the time of me making this video was that even if you submitted a policy for underwriting, they had to send the client a form to their email. The client had to fill out a form with additional information and then submit that form back, and then Ethos will begin the underwriting from there. But there have been instances where clients never received that form. We had to contact customer service, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then because that form was never sent, bunch of those things, the client's stuck in underwriting. Now the client's calling us, they're freaking out. They're like, you took my information, what's going on? And we can't hear anything from the company around underwriting. Now we look bad as an organization. Our agents don't look like we're operating under professionalism, all because there wasn't clear guidelines around underwriting and there's nobody to contact about underwriting. So if you have underwritten cases, I would suggest that you walk in the other direction, because I don't see a clear underwriting process when it comes to Ethos. That brings me to number 4. Their IUL offers next day commission, and they did not always deliver on that. Now, this is a very important thing to me, is that I believe that Ethos did a great thing when they said agents need to get paid faster. I agree. I believe all agents should be getting paid faster. It's the way for us to be able to build and grow our businesses. In fact, this is one of the only industries where we're waiting so long to be paid, when if you had a normal business and somebody swiped their debit or credit card, you're getting paid from your processor within 1 to 2 business days. Here, we're talking about 7, 14 business days to get paid. How do you expect an agent to run a full-time business with a cash flow cycle of 7 to 14 days? You guys got to think about that for a moment. The IUL offer was next day commission. I believe on some of their other products it was the same thing, and I can tell you on many instances that didn't happen. It didn't happen. I can tell you on many instances where many representatives from my team and agents from my team had to send emails over to Ethos asking them where their actual commission is at, because they don't know, and they should have gotten it on this day, and then they're supposed to get it the next day, and they're supposed to get it the next day. Their commissions department at that time, nightmare for many of my agents. Many of my agents not getting paid the next day like expected, or even on a True Stage product, where with True Stage, it could be a 5 to 7 business day period, and within that 5 to 7 business days, the True Stage policy didn't show up. And if you weren't tracking all of this inside of your portal and you don't have it all written down, you could very well miss getting paid on the client. And I'll be honest with you, I've worked with other insurance carriers. I've never had an issue of getting paid with insurance carriers, but with Ethos, I've definitely had numerous issues along with many of my agents when it comes to getting paid. And by the way, I lost agents. I've had bad experiences simply because agents weren't getting paid when I told them that that's how it was supposed to work, because that's what Ethos was offering on their product. And that brings me to number 5, tech issues around chargebacks and how they're credited. This goes back to number 1, the tech issues around their chargebacks. Back to what I told you in the original point, is that there were chargebacks that were delayed that came out of nowhere. Chargebacks that Ethos didn't know exist, and they came back out of nowhere saying that these chargebacks exist. I remember a story where we were on the call, and literally we get a spreadsheet saying that these were a bunch of policies that lapsed, that they did not know even lapsed until now, because they didn't get the information back from TrueStage or whatever the scenario was. But now we were held responsible for these chargebacks, although they were 90-something days ago, and they just found out and they dumped them back inside of our portal. That's not acceptable. And the tech issues around chargebacks and how they're credited, if the company makes a mistake such as that, then they should be held accountable for the mistakes that they make. And these issues around chargebacks and how they're credited is not good. And if you're building a large agency, especially now that you're responsible for the roll-ups and the people in your downline, that's not, you could end up going into a lot of debt very quickly if something like that occurs. And by the way, my organization went into a ton of debt because of the fact that these were chargeback issues from tech issues that occurred that rolled all the way up without responsibility being taken for their system being broken, with proof that their system was broken. Okay, so be very careful about that if you have a downline and them writing business through you. That brings me to number 6. Do not expect to reach customer service if help is needed. This is a big one. This is a technology software. This is one of the first of its kind when it comes to technology. And there's a lot of agents that I have who are between 30 to 50 years old who aren't the best with technology. So with that, if this is a technology platform, and let me give you an example. An agent of mine writes an application. They get to the stage where they have to enter the social security number, and when they put the social security number in, an error message pops up saying that they either don't recognize the social, they can't identify the customer's identity, a bunch of different things. We go to contact customer service, we can't reach customer service. If a policy is in underwriting, we go to reach customer service, we can't reach customer service. It's a giant black hole. And when it comes to customers and us earning business as agents, especially when you have other agents that are out there trying to take business from behind you and a client wants coverage, customer service matters. And more importantly, it's about our reputation as agents. We want to look good. And if a company is not providing customer service to us as agents to continue to make us look good, when we're bringing business to their platform, that's a big problem. So their customer service can't be reached, and you may be waiting a very long time to get things solved, and you may lose business, a lot of business because of it. So customer service was not a good experience. And number 7, underwriting guidelines did not match their decisioning. This was something that I'm very big on. So you know, I read all of the underwriting guidelines of every single insurance carrier. It's important to me, and I think it should be important to you. Why? Because when you understand the underwriting guidelines, you can save yourself time of writing an application through a certain insurance carrier if you know that it's going to be declined. That's just simple math, right? I like to go from point A to B as quickly as possible. Why? And I said this to all of my agents, and I train this to everyone. Don't write business if the underwriting guidelines clearly say don't do it, right? So I built the sales script for the Ethos platform based on their underwriting guidelines and trained hundreds of agents to read the underwriting guidelines, go through the script, and if they don't match, move on. Well, I can tell you with many instances that a client who said that they met all of the guidelines, and by the way, clients don't tell the truth, and I can agree there that clients may omit the truth, but I can tell you on many instances that we wrote the same policy, the same exact policy through Ethos with their underwriting guidelines. The client got declined. We would write these policies through another carrier like National Life Group, the same exact answers, client got approved. And by the way, not just approved, the client got approved preferred. So that tells you that the underwriting guidelines does not match the decisioning, and we have a number of clients that we can show that did not match the decisioning, and that, again, we lose money doing that. We lose client experience. We lose helping people having to go to 2 to 3, 4 different carriers when if we would have known the first time around that it wasn't getting approved through Ethos, we could have moved on. So the underwriting guidelines did not match your decisioning, and that brings me to the last and final point. The beneficiaries don't port over on the IUL product. Now this is a very, very important one because as agents, when somebody passes away, the beneficiary is the one who receives the actual money. If there's no beneficiary on that policy or a mistake happens, that can become a nightmare. I'm not even going to explain how that can be a nightmare. I think you know. So the beneficiaries, because remember, you're writing the application on Ethos, but they're sending it over to the insurance carrier. So in this case, if you're writing an Ethos IUL and they're sending it over to Emeritus, if you write the IUL and it gets sent to Emeritus, when the client logs into their Emeritus portal, their beneficiary information is not there. So what happens if we didn't know that the beneficiary information wasn't there, the client passes away, and Emeritus goes, well, there's no beneficiary information that's on here, and we're like, but we did it, and now that leads to a big issue. Man, I could tell you the pain that I would feel for a client who we did everything the right way and the technology did not work to send over the beneficiary information, and now that beneficiary is left out from that benefit, and it could potentially end up going to court, and man, I would be distraught. So I think that's a very big thing that I'm not okay with, and I think that if you're a legitimate life insurance agent that truly wants to help families, because every lead is counting on you to be able to make sure their family is taken care of. Beneficiary information should be correct if that's what you submitted the right way on that system. So these are just 8 of the things that were experienced between myself, all of the agents that are part of my agency, so many agents that I've introduced to Ethos, and we can continue to run down the list of these things. But the reason why I tell you this is not as a defamation to that company, but as an honest, transparent feedback on my experience and the experience of other agents, so that you know what you're going to be getting yourself into if you decide to write business on that platform. I believe that they have great products. I believe that they have a vision for agents to get paid faster, to provide a free will and trust to the clients, to be able to have a seamless tech platform. I believe those things, and I will tell you, I was a major advocate of that platform. I've built 10 hours worth of content, training agents on that platform. One of the biggest advocates. I have 10 hours of content. But when it comes to the operation and the relationship with agents, I believe Ethos failed in that area, around the relationship to agents and how agents are treated, and the transparency around agents and chargebacks and getting paid. And I believe that if we're the downline, if we're the people on the ground, if we're spending our money, if we're doing the work, I believe that we should be treated extremely fair. I believe that we should be treated like gold because we're bringing business to that platform. So I believe that they failed in a relationship when it comes to agents, and that's something that you should be very mindful of before you continue to write business with Ethos, or if you decide to write any business with them at all. Unless these things change, these changes are made when it comes to how they actually treat and respect and have a relationship with life insurance agents. What does Ethos actually do? So that's a great question, because I get this all the time. Now, over here, you are an agent, and what happens is you want to write business. Now, the traditional way to do it is that if you're with an insurance carrier, you will log into that direct insurance carrier's website, such as Mutual of Omaha, and then you'll write the business through Mutual of Omaha, and they'll use iGo eApp platform, or if that's still iGo today, to actually submit the business, and then it's inside of your Mutual of Omaha portal. And if it gets declined, you have to move on to another carrier, then another carrier, then another carrier, another carrier. And it's a lot of time for you to do that, jumping between different carriers. Now, where Ethos comes in, what they do is, for you as an agent, what happens is, and I'll use my experience, I would log into the Ethos technology platform, which is basically your command center. I want you to look at it like that. And when you log into that platform, Ethos has access to all of the different insurance carriers, such as Banner Life for term, John Hancock, which is term, Emeritus, which is their Ethos IUL, True Stage, which is whole life and final expense, and there may be other carriers based off of when you're watching this video. So Ethos in itself is not an insurance carrier. They are a technology that connects to the insurance carriers. Now, in some carriers, you may still need to get contracted. For example, with the Ethos IUL, when you actually get set up inside of the Ethos technology platform, they may need to still submit certain contracts with the carriers, but Ethos is the middleman that is sending your information, much like iGo eApp platforms, submitting your information to the insurance carriers, and then submitting applications to the insurance carriers. So they are not the carriers in themselves. They're the connecting piece to the carriers, which we'll talk about how that's valuable in a moment. Essentially, it's preventing you from having to log in to all of these insurance carriers one by one. You can go into one command center and be able to submit applications to all of the different carriers that they have available on the platform. So what happens is that the carrier sends when the case gets approved, the insurance carrier sends the money, and when they send the money, it goes to Ethos. Because Ethos is the middleman, they're going to receive the money first. They have a payment system through a company called Routable, where you will be signing up so that when Ethos receives the actual commission, they're going to earn their split on the commission from being the middleman, and then they're going to pay you per contract, whatever contract that you may have. You're going to get paid by Ethos, not by the insurance carriers. Okay, that's a very important thing to remember. You're not getting paid by the insurance carrier, you're getting paid by Ethos because the money goes to them first. You may be a part of some type of IMO that runs this same type of structure where the money gets paid to the IMO first and then it gets paid to you. The same goes for chargebacks, okay? So if a chargeback happens, then you're going to be receiving a chargeback inside of your Ethos portal. So for example, let's say that you had $3,000 in commission coming from Ethos, which you'll be able to see inside of your portal. If a chargeback for $1,500 happens, they're going to subtract the $1,500 from your $3,000 payout that was supposed to come, and then that remainder of $1,500 gets paid out to you by Ethos. So everything runs under a command center, and they get paid as the middleman that connects you to all of the insurance carriers. Now, what is their offer to insurance agents? I think that this is very important to understand, and let me lower my screen here. What is their offer to insurance agents? So essentially what happens is this. You write an application on Ethos's platform, and this is where I found value in, is that when I wrote the application on Ethos's platform, one of the things that they offer was a very quick application process. Different than iGo eApp platform, because one of the problems that I experienced was that my agents were spending too much time on the phones fiddling around with the iGo eApp platform, and it took 45 minutes to write an application, which doesn't make sense to me, because if you're wasting 45 minutes to write an application plus another 30 minutes before you even got to the application and you still don't even know if the client's approved, then you just spent over an hour just on a conversation in the application just for the case to get declined, because you don't control the qualification process, the carriers do. And I think that's very important for you to understand. So because you don't control the qualifications, you spend an hour of your time just for the case to get declined. And when it gets declined, you don't get paid, but an hour of your time was spent. You got to be very clear and understanding of that when it comes to running your insurance business. And I was trying to figure out, how do I prevent that from occurring with being stuck on iGo eApp? Ethos comes around and essentially they say, hey, we have a faster application process, which I can confirm that they do. With me, my team, agents, and many other agents that I've introduced to Ethos, because I've introduced hundreds of agents to Ethos. I taught all agents the 7-minute application process, which means to write the application through Ethos. Within 7 minutes of you writing the application, you're basically going to get, most of the time, I would say about 60 to 70% of the time, you're going to get an instant decision on the products that we talked about in the previous slide. How Ethos does this is that, for one, they have an underwriting algorithm. They've built this algorithm in place that has a bunch of different data points. So when you know how you're going through and asking all of the medical questions, based off of those medical questions, Ethos has an algorithm to ask more questions so they can get down to the bottom of if they're willing to give an instant decision on this product, if it's going to go to underwriting, or if it's going to be flat out declined. Now, their goal is to get most cases instant decision for coverage, because that's what they offer, instant decision on coverage. But I can tell you with confirmation that it's not 100% instant decision. It's not 90% instant decision. I would even argue that it may not even be 70% based off of what I've seen in my experience and my data alone. I can't speak for other people's data, but I can speak for my own, that wasn't always the case. But their underwriting algorithm, that's what it does. And then they also buy data, so prescription records. So one of the ways that Ethos decides on the instant decision is they're pulling the prescription records when you enter the client's social security number, so that they can get a better understanding based off of the prescription records if they're willing to approve this client, or what type of medical history that they may have. Based on the underwriting algorithm and the questions that you put on the application and the prescription records, is going to either give the client an instant decision for coverage, it's either going, or underwriting, or they're going to get recommended to TrueStage. As you know, TrueStage is the company that they partner with for whole life and final expense. That's their drop down product if the client can't get approved for their premier products like the term or the IUL. which you may end up finding based off of the underwriting algorithms that a lot of clients may, based off of that platform and the underwriting algorithm, are approved for that true stage product, just in my experience from the data and the clients that I was running through their platform. Now, if the client is approved for coverage, then what happens is that you are going to get paid within 2 to 7 business days based on the product. Now, remember, the money gets paid from the carrier to Ethos, and then from Ethos to you. So if there's a delay in Ethos paying you, it's not the carrier. The delay is with Ethos. That's a very important thing to remember as I get further into this video. So if they're approved for coverage and they pay, the client pays, then you get paid by Ethos within 2 to 7 business days based on the product. And on their platform, they tell you, at least today, when you're paid based on product, and how that works. Now, what is their offer to your clients? So one of the things that I did find was pretty cool about the Ethos platform was that all of my clients got free will and trust. A lot of my agents' clients got free wills and trust. So essentially what happens is if you run an Ethos product, the client gets approved, then as a bonus for every client that pays through the Ethos platform, they get a free will and trust, which is pretty cool because it's about $500, $600 in value, and it's used as a bonus. So when I trained hundreds of agents on using the Ethos platform, I was very big on the sales scripts of highlighting the fact that there's a free will and trust as a bonus for clients, because I thought that that's valuable. I mean, you're talking about an African-American male from the inner city of Philadelphia, and a lot of my friends, family, neighbors, etc., they didn't have free will and trust. So to me, this was like extremely valuable, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to push this to the moon. And this is what made me originally fall in love with Ethos, not really the commissions or anything. It was the free will and trust, and that sold me because I'm like, I want to change the world, and if I can help families get free wills and trust, I want to do that. And by the way, we helped a lot of families through the Ethos platform do that. More than I can even count based off of the amount of agents that I've helped get onboarded on this platform. And then they also have a clean back office portal. One of the better ones that I've seen, because you might have gone on to I won't name the carriers, but they have really old back office portals for clients to log into, and it just doesn't look good in 2025 and beyond, right? Should you build a business on Ethos's platform? Well, as an advocate, as somebody who has went and built my insurance business on Ethos's platform, I can transparently and honestly tell you that as of today, based off of what I've experienced, I would not recommend that you write business on their platform. I believe they have a good product. I believe they're going somewhere, but off of my experience, I don't believe that you should write business on their platform from that experience, based off of all of the things listed when it comes to the benefits versus all of the trade-offs. Do I think that if they get those things together, that they would be a great platform to write your business on? Yes, but as of today, I think that there are more legitimate platforms that are out there who have been established, who have put years into this, and even though they're slower, even though you might get paid slower, even though all those things, that your payments are going to come on time, you have transparency around chargebacks, you can get in contact with customer service, they have great products, they have great quality, they have great relationships with agents, and they've shown this over 100 years. With that said, that's my belief there, and I pray that this was very valuable for you to be able to understand how to grow your business. And if you want more information like this, I want you to go to insuranceagentnews.com. insuranceagentnews.com. This is going to be the premier platform that myself and a bunch of other agents, a bunch of top guys in the industry, we created a platform called insuranceagentnews.com, where we're going to be delivering up-to-date news on the different insurance carriers, the different IMOs, what's happening across the industry, because I think as agents, we need to also have a stance around what's happening, be in the know with the carriers, and so that we understand what's going on. Should we write business with them or not? What's happening over there? Why did those agents get cut? I mean, think about it. why don't we have, as insurance agents, a union that's in place to be able to make sure that we're protected at the same time? I mean, we're spending our money, we're doing the work, we're recruiting just to submit all of the business over and to sometimes be treated the way that we do. And by the way, I don't believe that there's a bunch of like every agent is an angel. I mean, that's any industry. That's like saying that every Uber driver is dangerous. That's not true. I believe that majority of agents though are attempting to do the right thing, and that's why they got licensed to do so. And we need the necessary support to be able to do that, especially if we're going to be bringing the business to the insurance carriers, right? Like they should want to earn our business that we're bringing, not us begging to be able to get a contract. Because without us bringing our business over to them, then in many cases they wouldn't be in business unless they did all of this themselves. So I think that's very important as an agent for you to understand that, and that we also should be reshaping and shifting the industry to be better and better balanced for us as agents. And that's my mission. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to be able to give you the news, give you the updates, tell you what's good, tell you what's bad, tell you how to grow your business, everything in between based off of my experience, all the things that I've done the right way, all the things that I've done wrong on. Like, I've shared the things that I've done wrong on too, and tell you what not to do. And I think it's valuable. So with that being said, that is my review and breakdown on the Ethos platform based off December 23rd, 2024. I may provide even more updates and actual interviews with other agents as well, so that they could provide experiences on Ethos and many other insurance carriers and platforms as well, on what their experiences are, what the best products are that are out there, who you should contract with, who you should write your business through, so your clients are taken care of. With that said, see you next video. Peace.